Hey, welcome to the part 2 of the Creating a Jingle series. I'm probably gonna make the mastering a part 3, so I really want to separate the mixing and the mastering part because I think that are pretty different things. And in part 2 I'm going to mix the song, and I kind of probably just don't want to say too much. I'm gonna comment here and there on some things. So it's more of a session of kind of like where you can just watch me mixing and see what I do compression-wise, EQ-wise. And overall of the mix, I want to sound it pretty organic and natural because it's just acoustic guitars and bass and drums and a mandolin and a little bit of organ. And so I don't want to sound it too over-processed or something like that, so it should be a pretty natural mix. So I would say let's jump right in, and here and there I'm gonna comment on some things. I'm gonna show you some bus compressor things that I use, and so let's start. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is switch to the 2-track monitoring, and I'm going to engage the Mixdown track here and set it to input. And as you can see, I have a couple of plugins that I'm going to mix in. First of all, it is a saturation plugin, just to kind of simulate the classic console here, which is the SSL channel, and I pretty much have it on all the channels engaged. Then I'm going to mix into the bus compressor, the SSL comp. It pretty much does not that much of compression, but it just adds a certain clue to the sound. A little bit of a top end boost, because I have then to do less on the tracks itself, and a tape plugin where I just use the preset of the Abbey Road and with the noise level all the way down, and maybe the saturation later on a little bit more, but for now I just leave it at that. And when you do that, always engage the plugins first, then afterwards, because when you mix without all the plugins on your mix bus and you engage them afterwards, you really have a really messed up mix. So if you like to have plugins on the master bus, always engage them at the beginning of the mixing session. So the first thing I'm going to do on the console is to set the faders, so the correct volumes of the tracks. As you can see, I already did it on the mandolin, for example, and the acoustic guitar in the box. And the second step is, if you have a hybrid mixing setup, to set it on the console. So afterwards, I'm going to decide what needs compression, how much of it, and then also all the other steps like EQ and effects. So let's just play the song and start with the drums. Bass, acoustic guitar, organ, okay, sounds pretty good for now. And I think the drums will need a bus compressor a little bit, and also the guitars, just to have a little bit more clue to the whole tracks. And yeah, so that's the volume right, and all the other micromanagement is done now with compression. And I'm probably going to use on the bass a bass rider from Waves. After the compressor, you can use it before the compressor, but I'm gonna use it afterwards on this particular bass. And yeah, so now next step, compression. Okay, now compression to the drums. As the drums are here no live drums, so the logic drums, they sound pretty good already, so I don't want to add any compression on the drums itself. So I'm just going to use a bus compressor, which is a DBX 266 in my case, and I'm gonna grab the camcorder and show you what I do in the bus compressor. Alright, so here's the compressor. It's now in bypass. Let's now engage it. Let's move the threshold. It starts compressing, as you can hear. Probably gonna use the auto setting here. It's pretty good. It's program dependent and it works most of the time pretty good. So that's without and with. Okay, should be enough. Okay, and the next thing, as I can hear already, probably going to duck the shaker a little bit in more, and I don't add compression here. I'm going to use a little trick that I often use, which is a distortion plugin, and just get a minimum amount of it. So not that much. And it really smoothens out the transients so they don't stick out too much. Alright. Okay, let's move now to the bass. I pretty much always use the 3A for that. I really like it also on electric guitars. It really makes the whole bass track a little bit more gritty. So let's figure out what we need here. Right, as you can see, it's pretty dynamic, especially on that part here, which is in the second verse. And when it gets then to the transition of another part, it really gets louder. So I want to duck that in, and also for that the compressor is doing too much, I'm going to add after the compressor the bass rider, which does really this micromanagement and really helps to smoothen out the volume rise of the bass. So let's engage that. Always a good starting point, in my opinion, is here the gentle rider setting. And the only thing I'm going to do here is add a little bit more of a dynamic range. And now we have to lower the target so that the bass rider is or starts working. So you can really overdo it, so it really ducks down everything. And probably the most difficult part with that plugin is to get the right target volume. Let's check here with the lower volumes. Pretty much help. A little bit less of compression. Okay, this sounds pretty good to me for now. and let's move on to the next, which is the mandolin. Check it with the guitars together. Alright. Also add a little bit of a saturation here, and the acoustic guitars and other instruments I start from the acoustic preset most of the time, just with the noise level down, and let's see what we can do with the saturation. So that would be too much. When you're mixing, always check with other instruments, especially on the EQ moves, how they interact with each other instead of soloing things. So you have to solo sometimes these instruments just to hear them a little bit better, but overall you should always do it with other instruments together. Alright, and for the outro mandolin, which is just a single strum, and it's the same sample, I'm just going to use the setting then from the whole channel strip, so I'm just gonna copy them when everything is correct to the mandolin outro track. So now let's move on to the acoustic guitars, the middle one first. Just a little bit maybe. Alright, also again a little bit of a saturation. Let's just take for that, as they're all the acoustic instrument, the same settings that I used for the mandolin. See how that works. Maybe a little bit less here. Alright. Okay, let's move now to the right guitar. Too much. Together with the left. Alright, let's stay with, let's tug it in a little bit more. Okay, that sounds good. Also again here, saturation. Let's leave it now as the left guitar, so we have a coherent sound. And let's move on to the organ. Okay, as you can see, and probably also hear, is we have much quieter parts here, as for example on that chord. So let's see how that works with the compressor. So it's compressing nothing at all, and now the loud part goes up. Let's check on the meter. Yeah, it should be probably a little bit more. Alright, let's check it with the guitars, the other instruments. Now I have also a group or a bus compressor for the guitars, so the mandolin and also the other guitars are bussed to group 3 and 4 on my console, and that goes into a Elysis compressor. And now I'm gonna grab again the camcorder and show you what I do there. So here is the compressor. It's now in pipe bus. Engage it. Let's move the ratio a little bit up. Maybe a little bit more. Let's get the release a little faster. So that would be too much in my opinion. I really don't want to let the bus compressor do too much, just add it for a kind of a certain glue that really helps to stick the instruments together. A little bit louder, just to add up from the compression. So as you can see, it's now compressing very little, so that's without. And with. Without. And with. Okay. So that was now all the compression I'm probably gonna do to this track. Seems pretty straightforward. I think I'm gonna add here and there a little bit of a low cut and some top EQ. And again, let's start with the drums and EQ. So I'm probably just gonna add a little filter here on 20. There's not really much information down there. Let's make it a little bit of top end boost. Let's hear in a minute. Now on the bass, probably gonna add also a 20 Hertz filter, and I'm gonna get a little bit more top end out of it. So let me add just a little bit of saturation to the chroma tape. I really like the preset starting from there, from the DI, clean DI. Let's push it a little further. Really thickens up the track. Sounds good to me. So let's head on to the mandolin. Or we can use a little more cut here, because there's really not really much information down there on the mandolin. Maybe a little bit more even. Okay, and let's add a little bit of top end. Just a tiny amount. Also touch down a little bit of the mid-range. Okay, and I hear a kind of a little bit of a humming, which should be around 600, I think, or 500. Oh, there it is. Let's get away with that. Okay. So now at this point we can copy the channel strip setting and paste it to the outro mandolin. At that there at around -15. Let's listen to that. Alright, sounds good. Now acoustic guitar, that's the middle one. Get rid of the low frequencies a little bit to make room for the bass and the kick. Maybe add also a little bit of top end, make it more exciting. Alright. And now left and right guitar. I forgot the J37 here. Let's make that quick. I have the same settings as the right guitar. Make it a little bit higher. So maybe get a little bit rid on the 250 and also add a little bit of top end again. There's a little bit of a Marty frequency, 250, let's get rid of that. Okay. And And now on the other side, also a filter. Add also a little bit of top end. Maybe a little bit more even. And also a little bit of 250, just a tiny. Nice. Okay, now the last one is the organ. And I really don't want to get rid of too much of the organ on the low frequency because it sits quite nicely in the mix. Maybe just a little bit of 60. All right. Okay, what I hear is that I'm probably gonna add a little bit of, let's say, 4K. Maybe a little bit more. Alright. And also, let's make the mid-range a little bit more popping. Alright. And maybe also get a little bit but I think I might also, it's a little bit higher up there, 140. Yeah, that's the frequency I was searching for. Alright. Let's add the mandolin. Now to have a little bit of a reference now, let's disengage all the plugins and see what we have done so far. Let's also disengage the bus compressors. With the bus compressors. Okay, and let's add in again all the plugins. So maybe push down the mandolin a little bit. But on the same time I want to have it kind of the main thing of the jingle, because in my opinion it's the most important instrument here, because I base the jingle around the mandolin loop. And as we don't have vocals in this jingle, this is the driving factor of it. Nice. So that was the EQ, and next thing is going to be a little bit of, I think, a reverb to just kind of mush it all together, and maybe on the acoustic guitar a little bit of a chorus effect, and maybe on the organ a little bit of a kind of a stereo imaging effect. So let's see how that works out. Alright, so reverbs. I'm probably gonna use not the Lexicon, I'm gonna use the Alesis MIDI verb. It's on the aux channel 1 on the console, and I'm probably gonna use just a kind of a warm room. There's a pretty good preset that I adapted a little bit. It's a very dark and mellow sounding room with not that much top end. I pulled it a little bit down in the preset, and let's see how that works. So I'm gonna grab the camcorder again and see what I have here, and start pushing the aux a little bit up. Too much. So let's listen in solo. Alright, so that's the preset, the warm room, and I'm going in just with 44 and out with 90. So as you can probably hear, it really doesn't do too much. It is just a little bit of a reverb just to make the things a little bit more coherent. Seems like that everything was tracked in the same room, and it just helps to fit the whole song a little bit better together. So seems quite good to me. And the last step now is that I wanted to add a little bit of chorus on the middle guitar, and on the organ a little bit of a stereo kind of fake effect. So let's now move to the acoustic guitar here, and let's send that to a bus. As you can see, I have multiple buses already here in the preset, and I'm going to use the bus 3 here, which is my chorus preset. It's just the stock Logic chorus plug-in. It does everything that I need here. Okay, now let's just play the acoustic guitar in the middle, and also engage the FX channel, and move now. Oh, here it starts kicking in. Let's back it down a little bit. Without. With. So now just the chorus. Okay. Back it down again. If you take it away, it just makes the acoustic guitar in the middle a little bit more kind of interesting, exciting, and also at the same time a little bit more of a stereo image, as the FX is stereo. And now move to the organ, and I'm probably gonna also add to the organ a little bit of saturation. And there is a very funny preset to work with, which is a kind of a whirly sound, which is the 45 here, the key swirly. Just listen to that. And without. It gets a little bit quieter. Let's turn the input up. A little bit down again. Okay, and now to the kind of stereo effect, even though it is a mono source, because I just played the electric guitar for that, I'm gonna add now the real ATD from Waves, and there is a kind of a very funky preset which is called Fake Stereo, and this is kind of a trick to make a mono signal spread in stereo. So probably gonna back down the rate a little bit. So that's with the plugin. Now without and with. We're gonna back the rate a little bit down. It gets too funky. So it really spreads out the whole organ here. Check it in the mix. Okay, so that was now the whole mixing process. I probably have to do a little bit of a fine-tuning, but overall this is kind of where I wanted to get with the Jingle. And the last step is now just the Mixdown, and just gonna show you how that works in my setup here. Just mix it down to the Mixdown track where all the Mixbus plugins are, and it's pretty easy. I'm just gonna press the record or engage the record in enable mode and hit record, and it gets printed down through the console and to the group compressors and back down into the converters and into the DAW. So that's pretty much all to it. And for the input levels on the Mixdown track, I try not to be too loud, so that I have more options in the mastering process, but also don't want to have too quiet. So I think maybe around -12 to -5-4 dB is pretty common. Okay, now this was just the sample Mixdown that I'm doing in my setup here. I'm gonna to mix down it later on when I have all the micromanagements, like really the compression and everything else. But overall the mix is kind of pretty much done, and in part 3 then I'm going to master the song. So let's stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, leave some comments in the comment section below, and as always, happy recordings and see you next time.